Now, the biggest form of development is really within these age groups. And when I say 8 to 14, I think it's best for me to kind of group these in specific age groups. And I'm going to start with the ages of 8 to 10. The fundamentals here of 8 to 10 really are the foundation pieces for your student athlete as they begin to grow within the game. And I think it's really important for parents to understand the fundamental skills that are really important are things as simple as how to grip a baseball.
I remember talking to Sonny Gray and Kyle Wright, who I thought spun breaking balls really well. And both of them had remained really healthy at that time, and posted throughout their entire career on the mound. So I asked them when they learned to spin the ball, and both of them told me, at a young age, about 10 or 11. But, Kyle Wright said, my dad taught me how to spin it correctly. And I said, hmm. So I just, at that time frame, I said, Nolan, I'm going to teach you a little bit of how to spin the breaking ball and feel for the change. But when we enter a game, here in the next month and a half, when it gets back going, we're not going to go out and throw, 40 curveballs inside that game. I just want you to realize how the ball spins out of your hands. So I taught him correctly how to spin the breaking ball at a young age rather than trying to manipulate and make all these shapes through, poor arm action and stuff like that. So that was really phase one. But the big message was we're also going to go out and pitch with our fastball and get the ball in the zone. We'll use the secondary stuff at 11 and 12, in optimal times. So that was step one. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes catch. You got to
Right.
play catch. You
Right.
got to play catch,
Right.
and you don't always have to be on the mound to feel these things, and you don't always have to be throwing them at max intent. And it just created, a good feel for the ball.
Gripping a baseball is going to be different for 8 to 10-year-olds. The hand size, they don't have the ability to grip that baseball the same way an older student athlete. So you really want to, if they want to put 3 fingers on the ball, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't have somebody tell you that they have to only have 2. They'll grow out of those little stages.
So I want you to play with your grips, but the biggest thing is you need to understand how to stay on it. And you did a great job with Tyler teaching them a changeup. So once they get that feel of staying on it, then they start to move the seams around a little bit, and they start to see, hey, well, that thing sunk a little more, or that faded a little more. So, but it's just through a natural process of playing catch. He's never been on TrackMan, he's never been on Rapsodo or anything along those lines where it's like, oh, you're getting this kind of movement, and that type of deal. So, just try to steer him away from that stuff right now, because I think understanding his skill and feel is the most important.
Making sure that your student athletes understand how to get into foundational patterns offensively and defensively. So from a baseball throwing perspective, setting your feet, having your feet shoulder width, making sure you're square to the target with your shoulders and your hips, getting that baseball out in front. When it comes to hitting specifically, children are going to emulate today's stars. They'll see them on television, on cable, they'll watch college games, they'll watch high school games. And those athletes that are successful, your student athlete is going to want to copy that. So during those early ages of 8 to 10, there's a lot of experimenting, a lot of emulation. Make sure their foundation is balanced. It presents a strong physical presence in a batter's box. Now also remember at 8 to 10, we're dealing with fear. So I always instruct parents at that age, teach the child how to tuck and duck, how to roll and get out of the way of the baseball without tensing up or tightening up. Those types of things will help your student athlete with regard to eliminating fear and having a little bit more fun. Lastly, when it comes to fielding, very similar to hitting, when that ball is in flight, children have an inherent fear of not wanting to get hit or hurt by the baseball. When you teach them how to catch the ball properly and allow them to do this, whether it's through wall ball, playing catch at the early ages with a parent, someone that they trust, over a period of time, you begin to eliminate fear because their confidence level and their skill set will advance. As they get older, you start to getting into that ages of, say, 11 through 13. They're getting a little bit more physically mature. They're getting a little bit stronger, a lot more confident. So those ages of 11 through 13 are kind of that transition period from being the little boy or the young athlete becoming the experienced athlete. The games become more competitive. I find that it's much better for your student athlete if you have the ability, whether it's older neighborhood children or older athletes at school, by allowing your student athlete to compete with and against the 11-year-old, the 12 and 13-year-old. They will be able to begin to move faster, move more confidently, and you're going to see them developing in their minds that confidence level. They'll start to get more creative. Creativity allows athletes to develop at a much faster pace when they're not being guided and they don't have that rigid adult overlooking their play. And when I say play, whether it's a wiffle ball game or a neighborhood game or a local sandlot game, allow them to be creative. If you look at Derek Jeter and you visualize Derek Jeter making a play in the hole, jumping in the air and throwing a ball to first base, that type of play was developed in a playground. And these types of creative moments are the experimentation that children begin to play with and learn from, and they hear the cheers or the jeers in some cases from their peer groups and their friends, and they know, okay, that's a little too flashy, or that was really something that really caught the eye of my friends or coaches or parents, etc. And they'll begin to become more excited by being an individual as opposed to trying to copy other athletes. And here's the most pivotal part for parents that are dealing with that age group of 11 through 13. Again, this is a massive period of growth. There are going to be much bigger, physically imposing athletes at 12 and 13. Don't panic. That's part of the game's future for your student athlete. They're going to be playing with, at the high school level, older, bigger players. The sooner that they begin to see that, and it generally happens between 8 to 13, the better. As they begin to get older, and I say older meaning that 13 to 14 and 15-year-old year, where now they're moving to the bigger diamond. The good news is the field is never going to get any bigger. At 13 to 14, whatever that field is as far as dimensions, 60 feet, 6 inches, 90-foot base paths, fences generally 350 and above in the outfield. The game will always be the same. Your student athlete is going to get bigger, faster, stronger, more mentally advanced. And so now we begin to get into areas such as position-specific skill sets that are required, whether that's as a catcher, a pitcher. I absolutely tell parents all the time, avoid at all costs having your student athlete be a pitcher only at these age groups of 8 to 15. It's not something that will benefit your student athlete in any way. You allow the students to hit, to field, to pitch, to see the game in its entirety, and as they get to this age group of 14 to 15, they'll begin to have an understanding of who they are becoming. Are they a third baseman? Are they a middle infielder? Are they a corner outfielder? Are they a catcher, etc.? Allow them to see the field from all different positions. Begin to understand the nuances of each position. What is required? Foot speed, arm strength. What type of hitter are they? Are they a power hitter? Are they a kind of a slap hitter, a table setter, meaning they have to get on base? Are they strike zone awareness? Things of that nature are very, very important and critical for the development of the high school student athlete. As you get into that 13 through 15 grouping as far as baseball players, high school coaches, rec coaches, travel coaches are beginning to funnel your student athlete to specific positions that fit their overall skill set in physical development. Meaning, if you're someone that runs a 7'2", 60, or you're a bigger body, you're probably not going to play shortstop. You're probably best served at a corner position, first, third, left or right, possibly even catcher. So as you get into that 13 to 15-year-old kind of area of baseball, you want to make sure that your skill sets offer versatility, They offer room for growth, meaning you don't want to pigeonhole yourself as a first baseman or a catcher specifically. Always remember, the more versatile the athlete, the more opportunities they will have.